All right. There are hockey cards on the screen. When I was a kid, I used to collect hockey cards. Loved it. Wasted a lot of money. Hopefully, maybe some of them will be worth something one day. I don't know. But hockey cards are a good example of how we would use a class in computer programming. Because when I was a kid, I liked to keep my hockey cards very organized. I was a bit, probably too much. And so I kept really good care of them. I had, them in glass cases and protective sheets and stuff like that. And so I would want to guard them. And one thing that I probably would have done when I was a kid, I probably would have taken the time to make like a program that would keep an inventory of my hockey cards. And so that's what I'm going to do here. Now, the reason that making your own classes is so important and so awesome is because it allows you to make anything you want. I want to make a list, essentially, right? I want to make a list of all the hockey cards that I have. But what is a hockey card? A hockey card is not an integer, it's not a string, it's not a decimal, it's a combination of things. A hockey card has a name, like the player's name. It has the team of the player, the year that the card was released, the rating that you might give that player or that card or whatever, and then maybe what hand the player shoots. There's lots of other things that you could imagine putting in there. Just off the top of my head, actually, if I'm talking about hockey cards, then I can just do a copy paste here, and oops, I can put another field in that says company, right? Like the company that makes the hockey card. So I can add a whole bunch of different things, and these are characteristics that make up the hockey card that I'm going to put into the database. I'll just finish this off. So if I make the following program where I want to keep track of all of this, what would be useful is if I could make a hockey card object. So something that actually represents a hockey card. And the way I do that is I go and I make a new class for a hockey card. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to call it H card. Sure, because it's a hockey card. Now, I am not making it plural. Okay, I am going to make hockey cards by using this, but think of it like a recipe. What I'm doing right now is the equivalent of making a recipe for cookies. If I want to make cookies, I go get the recipe so I can make a batch of cookies, right? And then I can use the same recipe to make another batch of cookies, and another, and another, and another. And different recipes are going to get me different types of cookies, but a recipe is like a blueprint that I follow to make an object, which in that case is the cookie. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to make essentially a recipe or a blueprint for a hockey card. And it's up to me what I include in that hockey card. For me, a hockey card in my game, and so in my game, a hockey card is going to have the characteristics that I mentioned already. So a hockey card is going to have a name, right? The name of the player. It's also going to have the team, which is also a string. It's going to have a year, which for me is going to be an integer. It's going to have a rating, which is going to be a double for me, say out of 10, right? And then what else did I say? Shoots and comes. So the handedness, which could be a character because it's either left or right. So I'm going to call that shoots, which way they shoot with their left hand. If they shoot left or shoot right. And then the last one I just added is the company. So these are all of the things that make up a hockey card. Okay, the characteristics. And so I'm going to call these the class fields or characteristics, the things that describe a hockey card. And if you think about other examples, think the cookies, right? So cookies can have chocolate chips or not, right? So that might be a Boolean. There's all kinds of different things that make one cookie different from another. Same with humans, right? If you look around a classroom, we're all human objects, but we have different characteristics: hair color, height, weight, clothing, what they're wearing that day. So again, hockey cards, I can make different hockey cards by changing these characteristics, but every hockey card is going to have these kinds of things. Okay? So now, what I'm going to make is called a constructor. I'm going to need a way to make a hockey card. And so a constructor is a special kind of method that has the exact same name as the class, like that. And what this says is, okay, someone wants to make a new hockey card, I guess we're going to use this method. Now, what I want is the ability to include these parameters. So I'm going to make a constructor that has 6 parameters right now. So watch this. It's going to go string, and the first one's going to be the name, right? So I'm going to call it n, just n. And then another string for the team, and then the year as an integer, and then the rating as a double, and then the character for shoots, and then the company, which is a string. So what this says is if somebody wants to make a new hockey card, they have to include 6 pieces of information. Okay? The same way if I want to do addition, if I want to use an addition method, I have to include at least 2 numbers, right? I can't go add 4. I have to include another number. So these are what we call parameters. And in order to make a hockey card, the user must include 6 parameters. And n is going to become the name. And t is going to become the team. And one sec. All right, sorry, the phone rang, one sec. And then the year is going to become y. So basically, the parameters that somebody passes in become the class fields. So the rating becomes r, and the shoots character is defined by s, and the company that made the card is C. And by the way, if you don't understand company, see how there's different companies that make cards. Upper Deck is a big one. This one is, I don't even remember. It's been a while. Score, there's another company. So there's different card companies. That's what I meant by that one. Okay, so we have our constructor. All right, so now we have what's a usable class. So I'm going to go back to my GUI. And you can see here that I've got all these fields, and I've got this little display over here. So I want somebody to be able to fill all this in, hit add, and then it's going to add to a list. So I'm going to go into the source code, get rid of all this stuff. And up here, I'm going to make an array list. So I'm going to make an array list of type hcard. So I'm going to make an array list of hockey cards. And I'm going to call it AL cards because it's an array list of cards. And that's going to be a new array list. I always mess up the syntax. I always have to look it up. Did I get it? No, not quite. And array list, by the way, I have to import. So now it imports it for me. But I'm still not quite right. One sec. So I just have my brackets mixed up there. So I just switch those. So this is saying I'm going to have an array list that is going to be a list of hockey card objects. Okay. So the idea is in my GUI, when someone clicks this button, I'm going to take the information from here. I'm going to make a new hockey card object, and I'm going to add it to the list, and then eventually display it on the screen there as well. So if someone clicks the add button, here's what I want to do. I want to say, and I can get all that information first. So I can go, okay, and it might be smart of me to make my variables here. So I'll do that. Some variables here to make sure that I can save the information I want. So if someone clicks that add button, then I'm going to get the name. So the name is going to be the text from the name text box. The team is going to be the text from the team text box, and I'm going to do the rest. So I've taken the time to get all of the rest. Just be aware that, you know, when you get text from a text box, it is a string. So I don't have to do anything here, but here I've got to parse it into an integer, here into a double, and then here I just want the character only. So I get all the stuff from the user, and now before I go and put it into my array list, I'm going to make a new hockey card. So here's what I'm going to do. hcard, and I'll just call it HC, that'll be the name of the card, equals new hcard, and now I'm going to include all of my parameters. So I want to make a new hockey card object, and the name is sname, and the team is steam, and the year is iyear, and so on and so forth. So these are the parameters that I'm passing in to the constructor when I make the hockey card. So you can see that there are no problems with that. It's got no issues. So now what we have, just to recap, is we have a system where they press the button and all the stuff from the text box gets transferred into these variables. These variables get transferred to the parameters of the hockey card, and it's going to build us a new hockey card object, which we can then store in our array list. So our array list is array list of cards, and we are going to add HC. And that's it. So we have a button that gets the information, makes a new hockey card with these parameters, and then adds it to the array list. And then on the screen, we haven't done anything on the screen, but that's really not the point of this video. But we would take this, which is a combo box, and we would add the information. So I'm not quite there yet, but I think I would say, what did I call it? CMB cards dot, and then I would add the string to the combo box. And I haven't made a string yet. I can't just add a hockey card object to a combo box. It won't know how to do that. I'll have to make a method in the hockey card class that would spit out a string with all of the information and then add that to the combo box. But this is the idea. So we'll see how it works. I'm going to put a breakpoint right here, and I'm going to debug. And then you should see my GUI pop up here. And I'm going to type in some information for a hockey card. So my favorite player was Wayne Gretzky. Yeah, I had it right. And he played for a lot of teams, well, not a lot, 4 teams, but I'm going to pick Edmonton. That's where he was his best. And let's say it was from 1988, nope, 87. And he was 9.9 just for the decimal. He was a 10, but 9.9. He shot left, and let's say the company was Upper Deck. So when I click add, we're going to stop it in the code, and this is the power of a breakpoint and debugging. So nothing has happened yet, but as soon as I click and go step, notice sname is Wayne Gretzky because it got it from the text box. And I'm going to do a couple here at once. And team, Oilers, a year 87, rating 9.9. So it worked. We got all of the information that we were expecting. So now, here's where it's going to make a hockey card. And it's got all that information for parameters. So rather than stepping over, I want to make sure I do the right thing here. I'm going to step into the hcard class. So it goes right to the constructor. Okay? And it's going to go through the constructor and look at the value of n and t and y. So essentially we have passed that information through as parameters, and now it's going to go, oh, okay, he wants to make a hockey card where the n value is going to be the name of the hockey card. So I'm going to click here, and it goes through, and it's making a new hockey card object with all of the parameters that I just sorted out. And then that's it, gets out. Now we go back to the original program. It's done making the hockey card. And now you can see if I hover over HC, it says, oh, it doesn't, like that looks like junk. But if I click on, that little drop down arrow, it goes, okay, well this is a hockey card called HC, and these are the parameters of that hockey card, which is perfect. And then it's going to add the hockey card to my array list, which now has a size of 1, and if I look in the array list, in the 0th spot, we have our first hockey card, which is Wayne Gretzky. And then I can go back, and I can make, so I'll continue this, should go, oh, shoot, I just ran another one by accident. Kill that. Okay. If I continue the debugging, let's continue. There we go. If I continue that, go back here, I should be able to add another one unless I just messed it all up. So we'll add Mario Lemieux. And obviously there's a ton here that I need to do, like I didn't clear the fields and stuff like that, but this is just a video to show you how this would work. And if I add Lemieux, then it goes through the whole process again and it makes another hockey card, but this time the names and all the parameters are going to change. So we're making another hockey card, but with different parameters. This is not the Wayne Gretzky card, this is the Lemieux card. So now HC, which is the hockey card we're holding, is Lemieux, and all that stuff. And then here it's going to add it to the array list again. And now we have an array list that has two cards in it. The first card is our Wayne Gretzky card, and the second card is our Mario Lemieux card. Perfect. So that is the essence of how you do it. You create a class that has everything that you want that class to have, which is why it's nice because you're allowed to be as creative. You can make classes for, after you see this video, I'm hoping that you go, oh my god, that means I can make a class for anything. Think about video games, any enemy, a hero, object, anything at all. You can now make a class for it. You can have an array list of anything your heart desires. Mine's hockey cards. It could be, video game characters or albums, movie, you name it. So this, once you understand it, the concept really allows you to feel very free as a programmer, I guess is the word, that you can do anything you want, and you can make objects for anything you want, and it's pretty cool. So from here, like I said, this is just an example, but you would want to do a lot more with your GUI, make things show up in the combo box. You'd probably want to write it out to a file so you don't lose all your stuff. And you would need methods also I didn't do the methods in this tutorial, but in my hockey card class, I have the fields or the characteristics that make it up. I have the constructor that actually makes a card. By the way, you can have multiple constructors, but also you would have to have methods where maybe you make a method that spits out a string that you can actually have a legible synopsis of the card. So maybe I'd make a method, like public string get info, and when somebody calls this method, what it does is it would return maybe the name plus a comma and then the team. So maybe I only want to know about the name and the team. So what that would do, I'm rushing this, there we go. So what that would do is if someone called the get info, if someone used a hockey card and used the get info method, it would return just the name and the team. Maybe that's something I want because maybe I just want a summary of the hockey card and I don't want all of this other stuff. So you can make a whole bunch more methods that allow you to do more stuff with the card. And that is, again, the power of classes. So I hope this video helped. And again, feel free to email me with any questions at all.